now watching Chopping It Up with Roger Cador and Perry White.
Hearing my voice right now, we are back for another episode of Chopping It Up with Coach Roger Cador and Perry White. Of course, I am Perry White, and he's the man, the myth, the legend himself, Roger Cador. Coach, I see you with your SU on today. You're an SU man today.
I'm a Southern man.
Southern man. Talk to me about being a Southern man, what that means.
It means that, I've spent a lot of years with Southern as a student athlete, as a coach, coached 2 sports here, basketball and baseball. So I'm really a Southern man when you start talking about it.
Yeah, through and through.
50 years of relationship with it. Know a lot of things. Know where a lot of dead bodies are buried.
Let me know when you're ready to tell your story one day. Because let me ask you this, you're talking about being a Southern man and having that love. And one thing I've always been intrigued about, I look around, especially like other HBCUs and around college sports. Nobody, and it's tough outside of maybe the FAMUs, the Jackson States, right? And that's the swagger that these programs have and the experiences that you gain from being on the campus as students, administrators, and so forth. But what is it about Southern for you that you think ultimately created this ultimate pride that still lingers and lives on today, that has been going on for generations after generations?
Southern had something way back in the 60s and the 50s. I don't know about the 50s and the 60s. No HBCU had a football stadium, and they had the band. See, they had the football stadium, and people thought Southern was special because they had the football stadium. And then the band, they added the band, that flavor to the mix and made it even more a nostalgia, something that the other HBCUs looked up to.
So when you were a student, were you going to the games, football games, and hanging out?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did. Well, and that's the days when the great players, Walter Payton, Robert Brazile, Jackie Slater, they all were playing. Big Harold Carmichael and Isaiah Robertson, Mel Blount, and I can't name all the other ones from the other. Texas Southern had some good ones. Alcorn did. I mean, it was just so many good players. So that was the days when you would play at Jackson State for homecoming. You wanted them for homecoming. Right now, I don't think you want to play that school for homecoming because you usually want to do what? Win. So we played them schools on homecoming.
What were the educators of those days like? Because I often go back and I've seen documentaries and I've seen so much in terms of those leaders of that time and how they were ahead of their time and what they really meant to really set the standard of education and the time that it took, because HBCUs, of course, we know, took what many considered in the white world a diamond in the rough, right? A lot of people don't want to deal with it because you're looking for the polished, finished product more so than having to get the coal and clean it. But HBCUs, particularly like Southern, had great educators who could take students who were deemed not acceptable at most white schools or pretty much all white schools and turn them into productive citizens. Who were those educators around when your time at Southern that you really looked up to and really set the standard in terms of excellence and what it meant to be successful in life?
Well, they knew that they had to take what was given to them. And sort of what they did was what was happening in the household of Black Americans back in the days. You only had what they were able to bring in the house to cook, to make do for bed and furniture, whatever. Whatever the thing was, you took whatever it was you had and you made it work. That's what these people, they used the same process that we used in the household, working on the farm, and used it on the college campus in the educational setting. It is no different. It's like I tell people, in my travel, I go to a lot of places where the Spaniards, they did a lot of building in South America, Central America, Latin America, and they did some on the East Coast. And what happened? What happened? Listen to this. They used the same blueprint in damn near every country. And they built where the water was, and they built the same kind of thing, buildings. New Orleans has got it, Charleston, South Carolina got it, Savannah got it, all on the water, all the same blueprint. So if you've been to South Carolina, Charleston, Savannah, New Orleans, you can go into Peru, you can go into Ecuador, you can go into all of those countries, go into Colombia, you're gonna find some of the same blueprint. Nothing different. You know, so, and that's what the people at Southern did. They found a blueprint and they made it work. They perfected it. You got me? They found out what would work for young African American and they taught them. And then they sent them out to be teachers themselves. And that's beautiful when you take a diamond and you shine it and then you put it out there for display, on display. Well, this is what happened here at Southern. Those people knew. They knew they had something they could work with. It's just that the system didn't give them the credit to the kids. You got me? All the kids needed someone to motivate them, teach them, show them how. And that's what these people did. Because they knew when they sent them out, they would be ready. I'm a product of that system. Nothing fancy, basic fundamentals. It works, and that's what we took out. See, they knew that the basic fundamental would work for the mass of the people, rather than do something that 1% or 2% can benefit from. They went out and said, we're gonna teach you to do something where the mass, we need many people to be able to capture, learn, and go out and learn this stuff and make it work.
Yeah, you coming from rural Louisiana. I'm not sure what you consider in terms of the education of that time, but then coming to Southern.
Non-existent.
Non-existent. I'm pretty sure coming to Southern was not only just a culture shock, but just shell shock as a whole, because now you're being held to an academic standard that's kind of pushing further and beyond than what you were getting at a formal education back where you were from.
And the people, when I came to Southern, knew that. You see, they knew historical situation, areas, 30 miles from Southern. They knew the education system was a wreck. They knew it wasn't catering to prepare kids for college, but they found the time to give me the love and time to help me. And I was able to, like, you know, when you take a match and you're trying to light a fire, they scratch the match, put it on, that's what happened to me. I caught fire. And then the fire never went out. And I was motivated by that, by the fact that some people took the time to help me when I wasn't what you would deem worthy of being here, but they found the time to give it to me. And you know what? You know, this doesn't happen much anymore. A teacher come and sit next to you and then put their arms around you and talk to you in a way you've never been talked to before. That had never happened to me before. And I'm gonna tell you, learning comes in all kinds of situations. The fact that a lot of the teachers hugged me, the lady teachers, they hugged me and they went over words with me for pronunciation. I mean, this is simple. This is something you should have learned in elementary school, you got me? But they knew that I hadn't been taught, and it wasn't my fault, and they did it with me.
The type of patience of an educator during that time, understanding that even on the college level, you may not have been up to a college level standard, but to take that time and realize that every student is different, but by the time I'm done with you, you're gonna be polished, you're gonna be successful, and I'm gonna have you prepared for the world. When we look at that and you look at Southern of today than what it was of yesteryears, do you think the mission has changed? Although it sounds the same, do you think it has changed? Because now we seem to always go after the highest academic student now. We want the absolute best. And do you think because of that, we often forget about that student, just like a Roger Cador from rural Louisiana, who, if you just take that time, that student can also be a high level academic student as well, if you can take the time to really work with them?
Well, things are different. Back when I was coming through, Southern had an open door policy. If you could breathe and walk, you could come in. And I'm being facetious when I say that. But they accepted everyone. Southern doesn't do that anymore, you got me? They're competing with other people. Southern didn't have to, only Grambling they had to compete with back, literally, you know. Xavier and Dillard were private schools, and I think that their academic was a little different. Maybe the neurosurgeon could tell me, but I think they were a little different, but we had nowhere to go. And Southern literally had to accept us. You got me? And the teachers knew that, and they knew what they were being paid for, to teach the less fortunate. They knew they were being paid to teach the less fortunate, the one that had been left behind by the system, given up, kicked, and tell them they weren't going to ever be anything. And I think that's why the teachers now kicked in their pride. Said, we're going to show them that you're going to be something. We're going to show them. We could teach you, you'll learn, and you'll be productive as a citizen and in life. And boy, I tell you, that is, see, it might be a little more difficult to do it today because no one wants to fail. We did a lot of failing, and they understood that. See, they understood it. You know, I'm laughing because I often think about a situation where the wrong teachers, they brought them in from outside the Southern system, and they didn't understand inside the system what was taking place. You got me? The love, the harmony. You know, they didn't understand it. And those people who had been here 20, 30 years teaching Southern students, they understood. See that still kid over there? He's going to be okay. He's going to make it once he gets it. See, they could pick out those students and know, because we didn't have a whole bunch of teachers, which in my case was really good. You know, I had some of the same teachers for 4 years, and they understood my need and shortcomings. You got me? So by the time I got to the third and fourth year, they were ready to push me and challenge me. See, because now they felt I was ready for the challenge. You got me? See, that's the advantage. That's the advantage of having people, to work with people for more than 1 year. That doesn't happen anymore. And I think that's why the failure rate, there are still a lot of kids who are like me, but with a little better education, but they need mentoring. They need confidence builder. They need the ones to say, you're going to be okay, son, baby, you're going to be okay. I don't know, I don't think it's happening. I hate to say it, but they're teaching a different way. And I just don't think the kids, the students' attitudes are different, and it turns the instructors off. You got me? And I think you being in class, you can, they'll turn these instructors off, and the instructors will say, you do that, I'm not going to worry about you.
Yeah, they say to hell with them.
The hell with you.
Yeah. Because it seemed like in the time of your era of coming up, education was wanted, and because it was denied, it was something that you knew could change your life, your outcome, the direction of the generation of families, and it ultimately did for you. right? You're in a way better position, including with your son today, than what you would have been considering with your father and all the hard work that they were doing in rural Louisiana. So you understood the importance of an education, and you wanted that, and you, at whatever cost that it took in order to make that dynamic change in life. Today, it seems like this generation may take an education and what it can do for their life, take it for granted, not realizing that there's still areas to improve and take life to another level. We just don't seem to value it as a community. And when I say a community, I'm talking about black folks like we once did, where it was once denied to us, now it's in front of us, and we don't take advantage of it.
I couldn't fail. I couldn't go back home a failure. I could not fail. And that was the attitude of so many other people here at this university, saying they couldn't go back home a failure, and embarrass the family and say your son or daughter is a failure. I couldn't do it. And so I had a little more extra motivation in that I knew that I couldn't fail. Not a lot of people take that, but boy, I tell you, I was motivated by the fact that I couldn't fail.
I felt the same way. That's when I transferred to Southern. You know, I had made my mistakes at a previous school. I was at UAPB, and UAPB was more closer to home. Everything kind of worked out for me there, but because I was closer to home, I was a lot more content. So being content, I was a lot more susceptible of making mistakes, in which I did, made a lot of mistakes. I had a GPA went from a 3 point something all the way down to a 1.6. You know, and it was just hanging out. You got comfortable being around people who you probably shouldn't be around as much. But then when I realized I needed to transfer, change my environment, go somewhere where I didn't know anybody and get a new scenery, I came here, and all I thought about once I got here was I got to make the best of what it is, because I don't want to go back there. I don't want to end up back in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, where I did everything I could to scratch and claw to get away from there, because I realized what it was going to be if I go back, because that's what made me kind of drop down. The opportunities wasn't there. I was easily distracted, and sometimes it's just good to leave home. And so I know what you mean with that can't fail mentality, attitude, and no matter what, whether I got 2 pennies in my pocket, $2 or $200, I made it work with whatever I had, because I knew at the end of the day, going back was not an option. I had to keep moving forward, and moving forward by any means necessary. And that was one of the things you're talking about, being a Southern man. I feel good about being a Southern man myself, because it was the people in the community of Southern University that nobody around here knew who I was, right? I didn't have any family that went to Southern. I had no connections to Southern. But I showed up to people's offices every day, to the fact that it was like, okay, who are you? Then it went from, okay, who are you? Okay, what do you want, Perry? Now you got my name. And you constantly saw me work hard. You constantly saw me strive and push. And because of that, that became the community that ultimately embraced me, helped me with scholarships, right? When I couldn't afford school because I had low GPA. Helped me learn about the different organizations and being involved on campus when I didn't know anybody. The community embraced me, and then most importantly, they saw a hardworking young man that was willing to really strive to make something of himself. And that's how I'm here, sitting here today with you. As many people come to this campus today who have heard of Roger Cador but never had the opportunity to meet Roger Cador, the legend. But because of the area that I strived and wanted to do good, our paths crossed. And here we are today, sitting here next to each other, both coming from two totally different perspectives. But at the end of the day, Southern University, and why we say being a Southern man, it gave us opportunities to better our lives and better ourselves, man. And I think for that, we're very thankful for that opportunity.
Well, less than 200 yards from where I first put my hand in your hand and we shook hands.
I'll shake your hand again right now.
Okay. In front of the Union, but in front of the football stadium on the west side in 1970. I was lost. They promised me a scholarship. Because of where I came from, the line of communication wasn't very good. Didn't own a telephone. And every day when I went to someone with a phone, I called Southern. Back then, they didn't have no recorder. Called the coach. You know, he had told my coach he was going to give me a scholarship. That scholarship never came, never mailed. Can you imagine how many people that happened to? But I didn't give up. I left New Roads and I came on this campus. And I met a guy by the name of Lee Flintroy, was assistant baseball coach. And he said, son, you look lost. I said, I am. So I'm looking for Coach Hine. He said, well, his office is over in here. Well, I walk inside the football stadium, inside of where the offices were. There was an equipment manager by the name of Alec Haysbury, who had officiated games where he saw me play basketball and baseball, but he remembered me as a really good basketball player. He said, son, you should be here. Come on, let's go see Dean Jones. Dean Jones was the director of athletics. Dean Jones saw me play and destroyed his son. Saw me literally destroy his son. He said, Cador, you're good enough to be here at Southern. I got a basketball scholarship for you. Bam! Put it in my hand. He said, I don't know why Coach Hine didn't send the scholarship, but I signed it for him to send it. I know you had it, but Coach Hine was not a very good communicator. You got me?
Yeah.
So, but the basketball scholarship was better because he gave me $15 a month. The other one wasn't going to give me anything. He gave me 15, they call it laundry money back in the day. And that's how I made it. You know how many people wouldn't have even talked to, I mean, I was searching. And it all started. And I said, I ain't never going back.
Yeah.
I said, I ain't going back. I'm going to make this work. I mean, and I worked hard, and I worked hard. And I failed, and I failed. And I got up. I got knocked down, and I got up. I got talked about. All of those things kept making me stronger. Because I know now in life that I didn't know then in life that you actually fail more than you succeed.
You will.
Didn't know that then. People only count what they succeed when they are successful. They don't want to count when they fail. But you have to look at failure too as a springboard to helping you succeed, be successful. So it's interesting how things worked out. And I like to, you know, I've had some conversation with my son about it, about over the years of how much I failed and how many times people thought I wasn't worth very much. And I didn't let that stop me. You know, people's opinion is like their butt. They all have one. You know what I'm saying? They all have an opinion. All of them ain't correct. You know, all of them are not going to be correct. They may catch you on a bad day. Everybody have bad days, right? And they say, see you on a bad day and say, oh, you ain't going to amount to anything. That's not so. They caught you on a bad day. Dean Jones saw me on a good day. Alec Haysbury saw me on a good day. You got me? And the scholarship came. Had they seen me on a bad day, what would have happened? No scholarship. So that's one thing people got to understand. That's why you get up every day, keep doing things, try to get it right. Because if you do it right, that's why the legendary Joe DiMaggio said, someone asked him, why does he play so hard every day? He said, you never know who will be here for the first time to see me play. You never know who will see you play for the first time and you don't play hard.
And guess what? They actually did catch you on a bad day. Things weren't going right for you, but it was the fact that you had a good day and they called it. That good day came back to help you out on that bad day.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And, you know, it's amazing how that turn of event turned my whole life around.
Yeah.
It didn't turn it around in one day, 1 week, 1 month, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Over the years, it took years. Just like it took me 16 years working with the foolishness here to get this building built. 16 years. You know how many people give up and go in the street and talk about people? And I never went in the street and talk about them. I never did. I let them off the hook. We got this place built. Now the kids are able to benefit from it.
Before we go to break, talk to me about those educators, key educators of names of people who were influential right here on this campus that created that sense of pride and also created that building up of character of people just like yourself, young people, and molding young people into successful people to go off into the world as citizens.
Well, Willamette Williams was an educator throughout her life. You could see through her and see education. And she was tough. When I say tough, in a good way, and to make sure that we did it the right way. You got to get it right, she said. If you're going to go out there and represent Southern and teach kids, you got to do it the right way. And that's the number one person. And there was a lady in English, Miss Hollinger. I had terrible English, but she stayed on my butt about trying to speak correct English. Remember, Creole was my first language. And when I got here, I was speaking a little different. I was speaking a little different language, you know what I'm saying? And she worked on me and she stayed on me. And you know, I named those two ladies, and there was many others like Mr. Gibson in my math, taught me math, which was my best subject. Math, I was really good at math.
Was it Dr. Everett Gibson?
Yeah, Everett Gibson, yeah. He was, you know, those three people were really great motivators for me. But there were other people, and I'm leaving them out because you can't call everybody's name.
Yeah.
When you call people names, people say, oh, you didn't mention so-and-so. Well, they all had a little something good to do with it. Because, you know, they didn't throw me away. Whenever I was leaning over, they straightened me up. I mean, that's really what it all comes down to.
Yeah, I'm glad they ain't throw me away either, Coach. Here we are. Both of us made it through the cracks and looking to find success. Of course, your success is on another level. You're talking about multiple Hall of Fames, Coach of the Years, championships, and then what you were able to do to then take what you learned from what those educators taught you and then take that as a head coach and then go get young men from all around the country, all around the world, and bring them here and then change their lives as well. So you continued the mission, rightfully so, through your own way as coaching and being able to ultimately create the legacy and the legend of who you are today and why we're sitting right here in the Roger Cador Baseball Fieldhouse. I think that's a testament of your hard work and a testament to those educators of those days for not giving up on you, seeing something in you, and giving you that opportunity.
Well, you know, in the 90s, I had the privilege of coaching kids from 5 different continents. There are 7 continents, isn't it? I had kids from 5 different continents. You know how fortunate that is to be able to do it? And I wish it's on a videotape when I did my show at the Embassy Suite. I brought the 5 kids in and I had them talk about their culture, you know, so people, and I wish I could put my hand on that tape. At the time, I didn't think about saving it, you know what I mean? But the people at Pelican Sport may still have it. But it was you know, to be able to have that kind of culture to Southern. The people at Southern wasn't thinking about that kind of stuff. But in the back of my mind, I was always thinking, can I do something different? Can I make this work? I mean, it's just amazing, man. And I found out I could, you know. How can I get people to come together? And they all came together, you know. When you think about you had people from the Philippines, United States, down in South America, all over the place. I might have had an Australian too. I don't know. I had from 5 different continents. That's all I know. I can't name all the continents. Maybe you can.
You want me to name them?
Please do.
All right, you got Antarctica, South America, North America, Europe, you got Africa, you got Asia, then you got Australia.
Asia and Australia, there it is.
I know a little something in geography.
Yeah.
All right, y'all, let's get ready to take a break. When we come back on the other side, we'll continue the conversation and more, chopping it up with Coach Roger Cador and Perry White.
Smart Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge because BTR is so close and convenient, they're always one step ahead, rather than dead on their feet. So, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport. Some Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge. Some don't. The ones that do know BTR is all about being closer, more convenient, with non-stops and short hops to anywhere their business takes them. They also know not flying BTR means more traffic, longer lines, and wasted time. So if it's about going from driveway to runway with a lot less highway, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport. It's about time.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
Have a passion? We've got the place. Gear up for where the rubber meets the mud, or stir up memories of a lifetime. Reach new heights, gravitate towards something out of this world, even travel back in time. You might like a little drama in your life, or get in touch with your inner nature lover. Release some pent-up energy while you're at it. There's plenty to do beyond the swing sets. BRAC, we're more than a playground.
With over 60 years of combined experience, Kathy Sherburne and Anna Barnett bring a wealth of knowledge and excitement to the framing industry. Keeping strong to the Louisiana culture, Acadian Frame and Art has numerous local artists and sports team memorabilia for their customers to choose from. Whether you're creating a gallery-like setting in your office or simply looking for some fun art for your kids' playroom, Acadian Frame and Art is your one-stop picture framing spot. Call 225-927-6129 or go to www.acadianframe.com.
Get the memoir from the legendary baseball coach from Southern University, Roger Cador, Against All Odds. Roger refused to let his past dictate his future by rising to legendary college baseball status. An inspiring story of tenacity, faith, and hope. Against All Odds chronicles Coach Cador's determination to reach higher, to want more, and to dig deeper to find the courage to chase his dreams. Against All Odds. Get yours today by Cador & Cador Publishing. You are now watching Choppin' It Up with Roger Cador and Perry White.
All right, we're back with more Chopping It Up with Coach Roger Cador and Perry White. Of course, I am Perry White. He's the man, the myth, the legend, as I call him. Coach Roger Cador himself. Coach, you know, we're talking about legacy and being able to pull yourself basically up by the bootstraps. No matter what your the beginnings are, doesn't necessarily mean that has to be your end. And I think a lot of times in life, especially where we see the generation that is being raised today, we see a lot of instant gratification, microwave society, where you and I both discussed the process of how much failure it took in order to even just see just a little light of success. In the world that we live in today, it seems like what you said before, people don't typically tend to show the failure side. They typically show all the success and glorify it to the point where it almost makes failure look like it's a thing of the past. And when people do endure failure, it almost makes it seems like now, because so much success is being shown, that failure, if you fail, then that makes you such a bad person,
Yeah.
or it is not going to work out for you. But nobody today tends to show things outside the glitz or the glam.
That's right. And we live with television and YouTube and whatever else out there, the smartphones and everything, they can show someone living in $1 million or $2 million house and then glorify them, and that person living in a $200,000 house or $100,000 house may be more successful than that person, but that's not what you see with what is being portrayed. You got me? And so we've got to be careful of how we see things. You got to make sure you see it for what is face value really is, and not facade.
Yeah. Let me switch the gears a little bit. Pete Rose just passed, of
Yes.
course, baseball great player as well as coach. Your thoughts on Pete Rose, the idea of him being out of the Hall of Fame? Of course, betting on games was the idea of what's have kept him out. But what's your thoughts on Pete Rose and what he brought to the game of baseball?
Well, Pete Rose, I played professional baseball, and in every dugout, you're going to see when you walk in, when you walk out, no gambling on baseball, no betting on baseball. I mean, that's all you see.
Yeah.
I mean,
And that's because of one man, huh?
No,
no.
Shoeless Joe Jackson, when they back in the 20s, that was the White Sox scandal, whatever scandal it was, and Major League Baseball took a stand. No gambling. They really made it tough. They did not, and Shoeless Joe was a Hall of Famer, and they never let him in. Pete Rose was given every opportunity by Bart Giamatti. Bart Giamatti was probably going to let Pete off the hook. He gave him every opportunity to come clean. And he was defiant. He was in defiant, said, I did not bet. And Bart is looking at the information. They got it. And he said it to the end. He did not gamble, and we know he gambled. And listen, the people wanted Pete Rose in the Hall of Fame, okay? Because of the way he was. He was a blue-collar guy. He wasn't very talented. He worked hard. You got me? And what America is portrayed as a hard-working country. We work hard. You can be anything you want. And Pete Rose really dignified that. He made this happen. And but he gambled, and he wouldn't come clean. And they had no choice. They had no choice but to do. Why have a rule and you don't follow it? It's just like raising a family. You can't have a rule and say to your son or daughter, I'm not going to let you drink or smoke in the house. And they come in and drink and smoke and break it. What you do? You let them get away with it? No, you got to hold that rule. You got me? So it's really something baseball had no choice in. And Pete Rose, unfortunately, won't be in the Hall of Fame in our lifetime. I think Donald Trump has set a bad precedent where they allowed Donald Trump to get away with things he did wrong. And a lot of people saw that. Now people thinking that it's okay to do wrong and get away with it. You got me? If we got to do right, if we have to do right, everyone have to do right. Even the leader of the country have to do right. We can't let him off the hook. So, but Pete Rose was really a good player for baseball. He played hard, but he gambled. And that's all I can say.
How do you think he will be remembered because of that? Would that ever be forgiven, or that's going to continue to tarnish his legacy forever?
I just don't see how baseball can forgive him.
Yeah.
In our lifetime, I think the people would rather be dead and let somebody else put him in there. You understand? Because they don't want to be the one to say, this guy knew he wasn't, and he lied. He lied for a year almost, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't gamble. But Giamatti was going to let him off the hook, I'm telling you. When they first met, had he said, Bud, I made a mistake. I shouldn't have gambled. I made a mistake. Had Pete come clean, I think Bud Giamatti was going to let him off. They were willing to do it because of what he had accomplished. You got me?
Mm-hmm.
But that's, maybe the neurosurgeon might know. I don't know.
Well, let's do this then. Let's take a break, pay some more bills right quick, and we'll be back with more Chopping It Up with Coach Roger Cador and Perry White.
Smart Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge because BTR is so close and convenient, they're always one step ahead, rather than dead on their feet. So, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport. Some Baton Rouge business travelers travel out of Baton Rouge. Some don't. The ones that do know BTR is all about being closer, more convenient, with non-stops and short hops to anywhere their business takes them. They also know not flying BTR means more traffic, longer lines, and wasted time. So if it's about going from driveway to runway with a lot less highway, isn't it about time you flew BTR? Baton Rouge Metro Airport. It's about time.
Getting a letter from the IRS that you owe back taxes can be scary, but it doesn't have to be. Call Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040 today. We'll help stop garnishments, levies, and seizures immediately. With over 35 years of dealing directly with the IRS, our team of local professionals will help you pay the least amount possible. So if you owe back taxes to the IRS, you need help. Call the tax professionals at Go Tax Resolution in Lafayette at 337-420-1040. Your go-to tax relief.
Have a passion? We've got the place. Gear up for where the rubber meets the mud, or stir up memories of a lifetime. Reach new heights. Gravitate towards something out of this world. Even travel back in time. You might like a little drama in your life, or get in touch with your inner nature lover. Release some pent-up energy while you're at it. There's plenty to do beyond the swing sets. BRAC, we're more than a playground.
With over 60 years of combined experience, Kathy Sherburne and Anna Barnett bring a wealth of knowledge and excitement to the framing industry. Keeping strong to the Louisiana culture, Acadian Frame and Art has numerous local artists and sports team memorabilia for their customers to choose from. Whether you're creating a gallery-like setting in your office or simply looking for some fun art for your kids' playroom, Acadian Frame and Art is your one-stop picture framing spot. Call 225-927-6129 or go to www.acadianframe.com.
Get the memoir from the legendary baseball coach from Southern University, Roger Cador, Against All Odds. Roger refused to let his past dictate his future by rising to legendary college baseball status. An inspiring story of tenacity, faith, and hope. Against All Odds chronicles Coach Cador's determination to reach higher, to want more, and to dig deeper to find the courage to chase his dreams. Against All Odds. Get yours today by Cador and Cador Publishing. You are now watching Chopping It Up with Roger Cador and Perry White.
We're back more Chopping It Up with Coach Roger Cador and Perry White. I'm Perry White. Of course, he's the man, the myth, the legend. He's Coach Roger Cador. You know, Coach, we were talking about it off air, basically about baseball, the state that it's in. Like we talked about before the segment, before Pete Rose, the possibility of may or may not get into the Hall of Fame now that he's passed away. But, you know, you're looking at other greats that are not in the Hall of Fame, like a Barry Bonds, because the supposed performance enhancement. But, you know, where does baseball go when you have this period of time where, you know, it didn't seem to be too regulated, things were happening, allegedly happening, but at the same time, names of people became great, and now you have to hold back on those greats and maybe not even allow them to be a part of the great Hall of Fame?
A lot of Hall of Famers use performance enhancement drugs. Back in the days when Pete Rose and were playing, they were using amphetamines called greenies. You heard of greenies?
Never heard of that.
That's amphetamines that they were given. They used to bring them and put them on our table. And it's people during the dog days of summer, when everybody was beaten down, the greenies were available. Fortunate for me, I never took them.
What does it do for you?
Amphetamines is a speed. And you know, it speeds you up. I mean, that's what it makes you go fight through that toughness.
Okay.
You tired, you take it. The amphetamine is gonna speed you up. You ain't tired no more. You can go play. I thought you would know about that.
No, you know, I've never heard of. I've heard of the amphetamines, but the specific kinds that were used or
Well, I don't
allegedly
know the
used.
specific kind. They called them greenies during my playing days.
Yeah.
But I can say today, I never took one. The only thing I took was a no-dose. One day it was so hot in Savannah and so tired. And my roommate said, Roomie, said, you won't take this, but you know them truck drivers take them no-dose that keep them up, that make them speed up. Try that. Boy, did it speed me up. And I did very well that day, but I never went back to it. I will, you know. I always used to think, I want to live a long life, and that stuff will cut your life
Yeah.
expectancy, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I was always curious, you know, because you hear so much stuff that's out there. And as I was growing up, these greats, you know, and then names started to become tarnished because you started to hear so much that was associated with them that was negative that you did not see in the moment in which the records and the great play and the way that they played that, you know, captivated a whole generation of young people to love baseball. And then you go through that era and we kind of like bash them and talk about them, and then we broke them down, and then here we are with baseball today trying to build it back up.
Isn't that amazing? But baseball is such a great game, you can't kill it. It's hard to kill. It'll come back stronger. And this year, the owners gotta be smiling because many teams went right down to the wire, still playing to get in. And that's money in the owner's pocket. The more you play, the more they get paid, you got me? And so it's good for baseball in general. And I think it's such a good game. And what is happening? Baseball is getting younger. The young people they're signing out of college, they're not spending 2 or 3 years in the minor league. They're spending a year in the minor, and they're in the big leagues. You know what I'm saying? And they're signing a lot of people out of Latin America that's coming in at 19 and 20, ready to play in the big league. So, baseball is really on good footing. Solid ground, it'll be well. It needs to be because, let's face it, it's got to compete with basketball and football. Football has really got the edge when I look at it for the long term.
Yeah.
Families have to play for football once a week, 3-4 hours. They can carve that out of their schedule, you know? There are so many activities that parents have to do with kids and kids got going on, you got me? And you gotta find time. If you do baseball, you got 3-4 games a week. That's tough, you got me? So basketball, you maybe have 2 games, but football, you only got 1 game. You got a whole week to play for that 1 game.
Yeah.
So I think that where football has an advantage, even though the tickets are expensive, but they still have 1 game to play for. The family can play for that. And they can have fun doing it.
Last thing before we get ready to get out of here, the Oakland A's, right? An end of an era as they have closed out forever being able to be the Oakland A's as they are now moving forward. What's your memory to go back down and walk down memory lane of the Oakland A's throughout your life?
Charlie O'Finley, one of the great owners that will never get credit for being a great owner because he wasn't liked by the front office in baseball. He was one of them guys that was a rebel, but he was good for baseball. And he assembled one of the great themes in the Oakland A's. And the thing that I remember most about Charlie O, not only did he sign Reggie Jackson and Vida Blue and Joe Rudy and Sal Bando and Bert Campaneris, he signed Blue Moon Odom. Blue Moon Odom. You know what he did? He went down to Macon, Georgia to sign Blue Moon Odom and slept on his front porch. So he would be the first one there in the morning to sign Blue Moon Odom. That's what I like about Charlie O. Finley. And he signed Billy North. And Billy North and Reggie Jackson had a fight in the clubhouse before a big series, and they won. He let them have fun. And Raleigh Fingers. He had them. He had them. He had a symbol. And we talked about, I don't think Boy Giamatti, I think with that other commissioner stopped him. He was selling it. He was breaking that team up, selling it, and they wouldn't let him do it. Said, we're going to broke you and run you out of baseball. You know, he was selling his most prized possessions, but they didn't let him do it. So that's what I remember about the Oakland A's and Charlie O. Finley. He had a horse, and he was the first one to use a cell phone by then. And one year he had Aretha Franklin sing the national anthem without any music at Oakland Coliseum. I remember that. How about that?
How about that? The Oakland A's, they won their last game in Oakland, and so now, end of an era. The Oakland A's will no longer be the Oakland A's as we move forward. So, you know, and how long have, you know, that's been a long time, because you're giving me some historical perspective from how long ago was this?
Well, they moved from Kansas City in the 60s. You know, so probably 68, 67, 68, or 66, because Reggie Jackson got drafted. 68. 68, okay, there it is. No surgeon got it. Yeah. I knew it was in the 60s.
And I like the movie Moneyball. You ever seen the movie Moneyball?
No.
Where they was using, you started to use, he said, where you started to really see analytics being used in the game, and they were looking at how analytics could be put together to put a squad that could ultimately win games, and it worked out for Oakland. So, you know, end of an era for the Oakland A's, Coach. End of an era.
Well, all good things must come to an end.
And unfortunately, today's show got to come to an end. It's been good, but it got to come to an end. And we thank everybody out there for watching. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hit that button right there, right under the video, and hit subscribe. Or you can share this video if you're watching it on Facebook, for anybody that's out there that wants to see this and come back and check out what Coach Cador and I have to talk about, man. And as always, everybody, we appreciate you guys for tuning in and watching us as we continue to archive this history lesson that I get each and every time I have an opportunity to sit down with Coach Cador. And Coach, before we go, what's your week looking like, man, as we now into fall and we're in October?
Well, you know, I've got a slow week, and we should be in on next week at our regular time next week, right? You know, November and December also look good for me.
Yeah.
So, you know, there are some things I do, community service in November and December, but it shouldn't interfere with us doing the show.
Well, everybody out there, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. As always, Coach, get us out of here.
Oh.
Catch you guys next week. Get the memoir from the legendary baseball coach from Southern University, Roger Cador, Against All Odds. Roger refused to let his past dictate his future by rising to legendary college baseball status. An inspiring story of tenacity, faith, and hope. Against All Odds chronicles Coach Cador's determination to reach higher, to want more, and to dig deeper to find the courage to chase his dreams. Against All Odds. Get yours today by Cador & Cador Publishing. You are now watching Choppin' It Up with Roger Cador and Perry White.